Caroline Wilson caught a glimpse of her reflection in the white laboratory wall. Her chestnut hair, falling just below her shoulders, partially concealed her tired expression. Behind her black-rimmed glasses, her eyes sparkled with the intelligence befitting a researcher. "Dr. Wilson, shouldn't you be heading home?" "It's getting late," Jessica, a young researcher, gave her a concerned look. Looking at the clock, it was indeed past 9 p.m. Even as the lead researcher heading the cancer drug development team at Moderna, she had been receiving worried comments about overworking herself lately. "Yes, you're right. I'll review these documents first thing tomorrow morning." Caroline made her way home, weaving through Manhattan's skyscrapers. While swaying on the subway, she absently opened her phone screen. Her social media was flooded with posts from her sister Jennifer. Flashy blonde hair and perfect makeup. As the head buyer for a luxury boutique on Fifth Avenue, Jennifer was living a glamorous life. Caroline let out a small sigh at the array of posts. She could never forget what happened when their father passed away 3 years ago. "Caroline, Dad's condition has suddenly worsened, come quickly." Upon receiving her mother's call, Caroline canceled an important research presentation at the last minute and rushed to their family home. For the next week, she sat by her father's bedside, holding his hand. "What about Jennifer?" "She says she has a show in Paris, she'll be back tomorrow." In the end, Jennifer didn't make it in time for their father's final moments. Even after being notified of his critical condition, she promised to return first thing tomorrow morning, but actually came back 2 days later. At the funeral, Jennifer wept dramatically, drawing everyone's attention. "My sister was too busy with work to help care for him." Those words spread among relatives and acquaintances. Caroline endured it silently. Even during the inheritance division, when Jennifer demanded the majority, Caroline conceded for the sake of their mother's living expenses. The same pattern repeated 2 years ago when their mother was hospitalized. Caroline took a week's leave to stay by her side and was deeply involved in post-surgery rehabilitation. Meanwhile, Jennifer merely took a selfie in the hospital room on the day of surgery and posted it on social media with the caption, "Praying for my beloved mother." After that, the seemingly spiteful incidents continued. Forgetting to invite Caroline to their mother's birthday party. Deliberately delaying family event notifications. Excluding her from family Christmas photos. What hurt the most was the manipulation of her in-laws' impressions. Caroline doesn't care about family at all. She's just a workaholic. Still unmarried at her age. Mother is so worried. Reaching her high-rise apartment in Manhattan, Caroline stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for the 15th floor. Outside the window, the New York night skyline stretched out. She had church choir practice this weekend, followed by plans to visit her mother. The word "family bonds" came so easily to her sister's lips. But what were true bonds? Lost in such thoughts, Caroline headed toward her apartment door. Back home, Caroline was preparing to take a shower. Just as she reached for the shampoo bottle, hoping to soothe her body tired from long hours of laboratory work, the doorbell sound echoing through the quiet hallway made her pause. Outside the window reflecting Manhattan's nightscape, snow had begun to fall silently. At this hour, cautiously leaving the bathroom, she checked through the peephole. The hallway was empty. However, the security camera monitor showed footage from a few minutes ago, a woman in a luxury brand dress leaving something behind and hurrying away. The familiar blonde hair. Her movements lacked their usual confidence, showing signs of haste instead. Could it be Jennifer? When Caroline opened the front door, her breath caught. A basket wrapped in a luxury baby cover. Under the fabric embroidered with the Christian Dior logo came soft breathing sounds. The lingering scent of her sister's favorite perfume in the hallway. A baby girl, about 3 months old, showed a peaceful sleeping face. Large eyes resembling Jennifer's. A well-defined nose bridge reminiscent of Michael. Gently wrapped in a pink cashmere blanket. Her tiny hand gripped the edge of the blanket, occasionally moving slightly, leaving Caroline breathless. The basket contained a complete set of luxury brand childcare items, arranged as beautifully as a store window display. A Hermès logo baby bottle, French premium formula, mother-child health handbook, vaccination records, Burberry diaper changing set. Everything was like new, reflecting Jennifer's characteristic perfectionism. And on pink stationery, in Jennifer's distinctive handwriting, it read, in large letters as if writing about something trivial. Please look after her for a while. Consider yourself the babysitter. Tomorrow is my wedding anniversary party. I forgot to send you an invitation. Sorry. Caroline checked the security camera footage again. Jennifer walking down the 15th floor hallway. The luxury brand dress was her signature style. But her usual confident walk was gone. With careful, slightly trembling hands, she placed the baby down and left without looking back, getting into a luxury car and driving away. How? Why? What happened? In her confusion, the baby began to cry softly. The sudden sound brought Caroline back to her senses. Her researcher's cool judgment returned, and she immediately took action. She searched her smartphone for a nearby 24-hour pharmacy, threw on her coat, and rushed out. At the midnight pharmacy, she placed necessary childcare items one after another in her basket. Formula, bottle set, newborn diapers, soft baby clothes, towels, high-quality baby wipes. Like a researcher, she searched for childcare videos on her smartphone while measuring milk temperature and quantity with scientific precision. There, it's all right. I'll take good care of you. Changing diapers was also a first-time experience. She touched the baby's skin with the same care she used handling experimental data. While soothing the crying baby, Caroline gradually found herself enveloped in strange emotions. This sudden encounter with this tiny life felt like it would change something. In the midnight Manhattan apartment, Caroline was alone with the baby. While feeling the warm weight in her arms, so different from anything she experienced in the laboratory, she checked social media. As expected, Jennifer's glamorous posts lined up. A high-end restaurant on Fifth Avenue. Over 100 invited guests. Countless photos with perfect smiles. Behind these splendid posts lay the reality of having just abandoned her child. The contradiction filled Caroline with indescribable anger. Until dawn, Caroline couldn't sleep a wink. While absorbed in caring for the baby, she was swirling with confusion, anger, and complicated feelings toward her sister. Occasionally, Scenes from their father's final moments flashed through her mind. Then too, her sister had prioritized her own convenience. But this time, what was abandoned was a fragile life. When the sun rose, Caroline's resolve was firm. She saved the note and security camera footage on her smartphone, organizing the evidence. She gently secured the baby in a brand new carrier and changed into an elegant dress in subdued colors. Pausing briefly before the mirror, she hugged the baby and smiled gently. "Shall we go? I have something important to tell your mama. And this might be the last chance." The high-end restaurant Blue Garden on Fifth Avenue was, true to its name, an elegant space themed in blue. Massive chandeliers hung from the ceiling casting soft light, while magnificent white rose arrangements stood in rows. French blue silk curtains elegantly framed the windows, and Italian marble floors reflected the light brilliantly. A professional string quartet's live performance blended with the clinking of glasses and refined conversation. In one corner stood a 5-tier wedding cake crafted by a world-famous French pâtissier, surrounded by towers of colorful macarons forming elegant curves. Blue orchids placed throughout created an atmosphere like something out of a dream. Jennifer, wearing a $20,000 custom-made Oscar de la Renta dress, greeted guests with a perfect smile. Multiple layers of blue tulle with silver lame created an ethereal effect, as if a blue butterfly had descended. Her blonde hair was skillfully arranged in the latest trend, topped with a family heirloom diamond tiara. Her profile was as perfect as a mannequin in a luxury boutique window. Beside her, Michael stood in a luxury tuxedo, exuding the composure of a successful man. The Harvard graduate occasionally glanced at his specially ordered watch, responding to congratulatory words with perfect timing. As congratulations were offered one after another and professional photographers' flashes sparkled, the venue filled with New York society notables enjoyed Michelin 3-star chef catering, with a champagne tower forming an elegant curve. "Ladies and gentlemen, it's almost time for the toast. Let us celebrate the 3rd anniversary of the master and mistress." Just as the British head butler's dignified announcement rang out and guests turned their attention to the main table, the solid wood doors opened slowly but surely with a definite sound. A simple black dress, subtle makeup, and a small life cradled against her chest. The moment Caroline appeared, the atmosphere in the venue froze. As if someone had stopped time. Jennifer's smile shattered like an expensive porcelain mask. Her face drained of color, making the blue of her dress stand out even more. Michael showed a confused expression, stumbling as he tried to step forward. His champagne glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the marble floor. The sound made the strange silence even more pronounced. "Caroline, why are you here?" Jennifer's voice trembled slightly. Her perfectly applied lipstick smudged on her quivering lips. "The babysitter has arrived." Caroline's voice was surprisingly calm. The same tone she used when explaining data in the laboratory. In the venue's silence, only the baby's soft breathing could be heard. The weight of the tiny life rested peacefully in Caroline's arms. "Surely, this must be a joke." Elizabeth, Michael's mother, raised a trembling voice. Her voice, trained in perfect social etiquette, was now so unstable she couldn't even maintain composure. Thomas, Michael's father, directed a stern gaze at Jennifer. In his eyes dwelled the cold anger characteristic of those who value family honor. A joke? Oh, you mean this? Caroline took out her smartphone. Connected to the venue's projector, the security camera footage was displayed on a large screen. Jennifer in her luxury dress, leaving the baby and walking away. Then, the message written on pink stationery. Please look after her for a while. The playful handwriting loomed eerily on the giant screen. Jenny, what is this? Michael's voice trembled with anger and confusion. The composure cultivated at Harvard was now completely gone. It's not what you think. It's not. Jennifer screamed. Her perfect makeup began to crumble. Mascara streaked down her cheeks, her expensive makeup dissolving uglily. I just. At that moment, the baby woke up. With large eyes, she looked around the glittering venue. And when she found Jennifer, she reached out her tiny hands. A soft sound echoed through the venue. Large tears fell from Jennifer's eyes. The hem of her glamorous dress spread across the floor as she collapsed, like a blue butterfly with broken wings. Miss, surely not. The butler tried to rush forward. The old butler's face, who had served the Brown family for 40 years, contorted with deep sadness. Don't move. Caroline's voice rang out calmly. That voice held the strength she had developed during her father's death. Michael. This is your daughter. Last night, she was abandoned in front of my Manhattan apartment. Michael's expression twisted violently. All color drained from the face of the Brown family heir. I have the DNA test results, the mother-child health handbook, vaccination records, everything. And Caroline gently adjusted her hold on the baby. A researcher's precision and newly awakened maternal instinct showed a strange harmony in her movements. This child will face difficult times from now on. Society's judgment will be harsh. But before that, she slowly approached Jennifer. The few meters between the sisters felt like miles. Jennifer, tell me just one last thing. Why, during father's death, mother's surgery, and when you gave birth to this child, why can you only run away? The venue was enveloped in deeper silence. The chandelier light cast long shadows of the sisters on the floor. Those shadows wavered irregularly, like memories of the past. At that moment, the venue doors opened again. 2 police officers entered quietly but with determined steps. Are you Mrs. Jennifer Brown? We'd like to discuss charges of child abandonment. The party venue fell into complete chaos. Invited guests all stood up, hastily beginning to leave. Champagne glasses fell, elegant conversation turned to anxious whispers, and professional photographers' flashes continued mercilessly. Whispers of upper-class ladies spread through the venue like poison. Jennifer suddenly collapsed on the spot. Her perfect makeup ruined, her expensive dress spread across the marble floor. An invited guest who identified himself as a doctor rushed over, declaring, "She's in shock." Amidst the chaos, the baby in Caroline's arms began to cry softly. Caroline's gentle voice soothing the baby created a strange contrast with the tumultuous atmosphere of the party venue. Caroline. A familiar voice rang out from the entrance. Martha Wilson, their mother, rushed in breathlessly. I came as soon as I got the call. I can't believe. Mother stopped, staring at the baby in Caroline's arms. At that moment, tears welled up in her eyes. Is this? Yes, Jennifer's daughter. Your granddaughter. Martha extended a trembling hand, gently touching the baby's cheek. That gesture held the gentleness of someone who had raised 2 daughters. Why, how did it come to this? Just then, Elizabeth's sharp voice rang out. Such shameless behavior. To bring shame to the Brown family name. Her perfect hairstyle was now disheveled. Thomas stared at Jennifer while talking on his mobile phone with someone, probably the family lawyer. Michael, file for divorce immediately. Leave this family. We have no need for a disgraceful daughter. The angry voices of his parents overlapped. Paramedics arrived and rushed to Jennifer. An oxygen mask was placed on her well-formed face, and a nurse took her blood pressure. Nearby, police officers were assessing the situation. Once you're feeling better, we'd like your cooperation with our investigation. A child welfare official also appeared. A woman in a suit began speaking in a professionally calm voice. We may need to place this baby in temporary protective custody. At those words, Caroline held the baby tighter. Wait. At that moment, Jennifer, lying on the stretcher, spoke in a hoarse voice. I'll talk. I'll tell everything. The venue's commotion instantly fell silent. I had postpartum depression. Looking at the ceiling through tear-blurred eyes, Jennifer began to speak. I had to be the perfect wife. The perfect mother. On social media, at work, in front of family, always perfect. Mascara streaked down her cheeks. A baby crying through the night. Work deadlines. Michael's family's expectations. Everything was closing in on me. Her voice trembled. I wanted to run away. I panicked, but Big Sister always does the right thing. Always cleaning up after me. Caroline caught her breath at her sister's words. The baby in her arms moved slightly at the sound of her mother's voice. So. I left the baby. After the confession, the venue was wrapped in deep silence. The child welfare official quietly stepped forward. Under these circumstances, temporary protective custody of the baby is necessary. However, the official looked at Caroline and the baby. Care by a blood relative is also an option. Caroline's voice rang out without hesitation. I will take care of this child. While my sister receives treatment. Martha placed her hand on her daughter's shoulder. I'll help too. Sundays are always. At that moment, Michael opened his mouth heavily. I will proceed with divorce from my wife. However, I will bear full responsibility for this child's living expenses. Elizabeth frowned at her son's decision. But Michael's expression remained unwavering. And Caroline? He looked straight at Caroline. Until this child's situation stabilizes, would you be willing to serve as her temporary guardian? Caroline looked at the baby in her arms and smiled softly. Yes, of course. Outside the window, rain had begun to fall quietly. The party decorations now drew no one's attention. The luxurious cake remained uncut, the champagne tower half collapsed. However, in Caroline's arms, the baby showed a peaceful sleeping face. Perhaps this small life had already taken its first step into a new life that was about to begin. 1 year later, in autumn, soft sunlight streamed into the living room of Caroline's new home facing Central Park. "Emma, over here. That's it, you're doing great." The little girl, now 1 year and 4 months old, was taking toddling steps. Her lovely face, with Jennifer's large eyes and Michael's well-defined nose, was full of smiles. 3 months after starting daycare, she seemed completely adjusted to her routine. My, she's learned another new word. Martha, who had come to help with weekend childcare, beamed at her granddaughter's progress. In the kitchen, while brewing warm tea, Caroline reflected on the changes of the past year. The path from the chaos after the party to the beginning of their new life had been far from smooth. Jennifer was charged with child abandonment but received a suspended sentence conditional on settlement and treatment. Though she lost her position at the luxury boutique and was effectively banished from social circles, this became her opportunity to start a new life. "Sis, I'm truly sorry." 3 months after beginning psychiatric treatment, Jennifer spoke words of sincere apology for the first time. Caroline quietly nodded at her sister's words, spoken without perfect makeup or the latest fashion. Monthly visits began after that, and she started participating in parenting therapy. Just recently, she announced her decision to start a new life in a provincial city. "I found a new job too. It's just a small clothing store, but I think it's perfect for me." Having deleted all her social media accounts and begun volunteer work at church, her sister's expression no longer showed its former artificiality. "Caroline, today's experimental data analysis is complete." A message came in from a junior researcher at the lab. Moderna had understood Caroline's situation and allowed her to continue research with reduced hours for childcare. She was even appointed leader of a new project, and her days were filled with balancing work and parenting. "It's time for Emma's afternoon milk." Checking the clock, Caroline set her watch alarm. Her researcher's meticulousness was being put to good use in childcare. Michael faithfully paid child support as promised, and even after transferring to the Chicago branch, he watched his daughter's growth through monthly video calls. "Thank you for really thinking about Emma's best interests." He said this during their recent call. After the divorce, he too had begun walking a new path in life. Relations with the Brown family were completely severed. While Elizabeth and Thomas refused to acknowledge their granddaughter's existence, Caroline maintained the child support deposit account for Emma's future. "Oh my, look at the time." Martha stood up. It was nearly time for her church childcare support volunteer work. Since that incident, she had expanded her community activities and found new purpose in life. "Let's go to church together with Emma next Sunday too." Caroline smiled gently at her mother's words. The family's former conflicts were now walking a path toward peaceful reconciliation. "Ah, it's time for our walk." Caroline picked up Emma. The arms that were once accustomed to handling experimental data now felt the weight of a precious life. "Shall we go to Central Park?" Outside the window, the autumn sunlight shone golden. The street trees' leaves swayed in the gentle breeze. Holding Emma close, Caroline thought to herself. Life sometimes takes unexpected turns. But the new bonds formed within those turns become irreplaceable. Her father's passing, her mother's surgery, her sister abandoning her baby, all these events led to this moment. "Dad, I wonder if you're watching us," Caroline whispered, looking up at the sky. Emma reached out her tiny hand to touch her mother's cheek. The gesture seemed to say, "Everything's all right." Another new message arrived from the laboratory. The weekend church choir practice schedule had also come in. Childcare, work, and personal time. She no longer tried to handle everything perfectly. Each at its own pace, in its own way. "Well then, shall we go?" Caroline hugged Emma gently once more. The story of their new family had only just begun. And it would continue. Against the backdrop of Manhattan's cityscape, mother and daughter were enveloped in the autumn sunlight.